Greetings, this is Vaibhav Agrawal from Business Upturn, and today we have Lieutenant Colonel Satish Vaidya from 10 Para Commandos. Thank you very much for your time, sir. The world knows that how difficult and challenging an army officer's or a para commando's life is. But today, if you could enlighten the viewers about the transition into a civilian life from being an integral part of the para commandos and then entering into the civilian life. How was your transition and what all challenges you faced then?
Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Pleasure to be with you again. I left the army after about 21 years of service, and it was quite full of action and activity throughout. And I joined a hotel as a security manager.
Okay.
They called it the loss prevention officer. I had to deal with a different set of enemies here. The skills that I had picked up from the army, in my unit, in operations, wherever, they helped me to look at things with a kind of suspicion which probably helped me and the organization. But I found that civil life is a little more tricky than the army life. In the army, I could get away with a differing view. I could challenge a senior and tell him, "Ki, I feel this way, it's different." But in the civil world, I found it a little difficult to deal with. Responsibilities in the army were clear. My team with me, we had gelled together and we understood each other. It took me some time to form the team, and in security, one has to look for people with integrity.
Right.
Outside, I found that interference from the local politicians a bit of a hassle. They used to get involved with the unions, and if my drivers, the valet drivers especially, who were part of the union, they would go straight away to the union leader and tell him, "Ki, look, this guy is troubling me." Although I was right, he was wrong. And I had this kind of an experience at least twice, where I showed the union leader, I said, "Look, this is where I've got it in a register where he's used correction fluid and signed his attendance on it." So he agreed that, "Yes, you are right. But for our sake, because we've come to speak to you, please take him back." I had only suspended him for 3 days.
Okay.
So I told him, "Okay, since you say I will take him back," but okay, I just agreed. Now this guy never returned on his own. And about 5 days later, a couple of days later, 5 or 6 guys, tough-looking guys came to the porch looking for me. I said, "These guys are coming for a fight."
Okay.
And they were at the main porch where they had a camera. I said, "I'm not going to let them into my office where it's all total privacy and they could rough me up." So I went up to the porch and I asked them, "What happened? Why have you come here?" So they said, "You had agreed to take this guy back." I said, "Yes, I did agree to take him back. And so why haven't you taken him back?" I said, "He hasn't come back yet." So and I said, "I agreed, but that doesn't mean I'm going to send him an invitation card or go and receive him and call him back, bring him back." So he should have come back to me on his own. After I agreed to your leader, he should have come back. And I knew that only an offensive tone is going to work. So I shouted at them right in the main porch. I said, to people might look and they'll feel odd about it, but then I'm dealing with the situation. So then they went back. This guy sheepishly came back after the next day. I took him back and the matter ended. The second time, now there were 2 kind of unions over there. So the second time I had a problem with another driver based on discipline. I said, "Look, I'm not taking you. You go and report to, you're out as far as I'm concerned." And this time I knew that he'd gone to the other union party. So I said, "This guy is going to now again do something tricky and ambush me somewhere." So when all my valet drivers and the staff were lined up somewhere, I spoke very loudly to my supervisor, my colleague, and I told him that now this guy is going to get his people against me, and they're probably going to come and fight. But I only want to advise them that they should come, at least 5 of them should come. Because 3 of them, I'm going to put them flat on the ground. That fellow was listening and he knew, and they knew that
Yeah.
I was, not very easy to handle. So they didn't do anything to me. But another manager who was remotely concerned with the whole thing, he got a slap from one random person on the street. Things become very unpleasant. And finally, I think that was the last straw when I decided that there's no point working in a place anymore. So I had worked 12 years in that place. And then I took retirement finally and came here.
Okay.
But after taking retirement, I did MSc Environmental Science. I studied a bit for a whole year. Then I had done a green belt in Six Sigma in the hotel.
All right.
It involved very important projects where we were members and leaders and all. So that I got a green belt there. So when I came out after my second retirement, I did a black belt in Six Sigma.
Okay.
I try to continue to work on environmental matters now.
So, with your military service and from the civilian journey that you have had, what has been your takeaway so far?
See, I have seen the worst of hardships where we have literally been hungry and thirsty and tired and at the edge of our mental and physical endurance. We didn't know that we can go up to there, but having gone there, I know that it's possible. It was possible. In the hotel industry, I've seen the ultimate in luxury, where you can close or open a curtain with a remote. And there's nothing short in eating and drinking. So a combined perspective of both has given me an understanding of our environment. So which brings me to, I've now made a hypothesis on climate change. You see the floods in China, the heat waves in America and Europe. People are dying of it now. Wildfires burning thousands of hectares of forest. Forests actually attract rain. But if forests are drying up and burning, there's something really very wrong. And I made a hypothesis which was published, an earlier version was published in a magazine called Supremacy. It may not be very well known, but it was published in May 2008. I have continued to work on that and build up on it. People need to understand it. I hope I can make them do so, because we are at a tipping point now.
So, for the final question, sir, it has been a couple of years post your retirement from the para commandos. How does your, I would say, the officer mindset still goes on?
Given a chance, I would do it all over again. And the kind of colleagues that I had, they were basically subordinates, but the bonding with them is something which is a lifelong thing. It's unforgettable. I've seen people, a couple of men who were shot up and who died, or who was wounded and he came back to the unit and died in front of us. One JCO who lost his leg in Sri Lanka on a mine blast. He was an artificial limb center in Pune. When I came on leave, I went down to meet him. His leg had healed up quite reasonably and he was waiting for his limb to be fitted. When I went at about 4 o'clock, it was visiting hours and he was sitting in the garden on a low bench. When he saw me from a distance, he jumped up on one leg and hopped halfway to meet me. So that sort of a thing I would never get anywhere else, or it's something unthinkable.
Thank you very much for the conversation, and I hope it will keep inspiring the future generations to come, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.